Hello everyone, hope all of you are safe and healthy. Welcome to IASbaba's Rapid Revision Series for Prelims 2021. This is session 63 and day 87. And the topic we have is Indian Geography, and we discuss basically the national parks, wildlife sanctuaries and biosphere reserves in today's class. So these are the hot topics we are going to discuss. That is, the first two are the guessworks as usual, and the third one, the national parks, wildlife sanctuaries and biosphere reserves, the difference between the three. Then the Periyar Tiger Reserve, then Lemru Elephant Reserve, then Ranthambore, Ramgarh, Vistari and Mukundra Hills Tiger Reserve, then Bitar Kanika National Park, then Taboba Andhari Tiger Reserve, then Parameculum Tiger Reserve and Orang National Park. Now, coming to the first one, the MCQs. Friends, with reference to the cultural history of India, which one of the following is correct description of the term paramitas? So, we will see the options. The earliest Dharma Shastra text written in aphoristic or the Sutra style, and then philosophical schools that did not accept the authority of Vedas, then perfections whose attainment led to the Bodhisattva path, then powerful merchant guilds of early medieval South India. Friends, look at this word paramitas. Paramita means paramahita, and there are several Sanskrit words which are similar to it. Basically, the Parama Purusha, Paramatma, so likewise. So, Parama means one who is supreme, or one who has attained enlightenment, or one who has attained perfection. So, search for those words, the perfection, attainment or supreme being, and it is basically an individual. It is not a book, an inscription or a philosophical school, etc. So, here perfections whose attainment led to the Bodhisattva path. So, this aptly suits for Paramita. So, we will straight away hit this. C. Or friends, even with the help of knowledge, you can crack this. Go to the A.L. Basham book and read the Buddhism and Jainism chapter. So, here I have brought an excerpt. So, it contains the word Prajna Paramita. So, here Prajna Paramita is one of the paramitas, and several such paramitas are given in this book. So, just go through this, just spend one day and you will get 2 to 4 marks for sure. So, every year A.L. Basham book is being brought into UPSC question paper in one or the other way. So, make the best use of this. Then come to the next one. In the context of Indian history, Rakhmabai case of 1884 revolved around what? The woman's right to gain education, then age of consent and restitution of conjugal rights. Friends, you will have to be thorough with the CSAT as well. So, here conjugal means something related to marital rights. So, here age of consent and conjugal rights, these are related to marriages. Now, take a look at the options. So, A, B, C, they show that any two of them are correct. Or in other words, if we think in the examiner's perspective, he is demanding any two of these as the correct answers. And but obvious, any case that is dealing with an issue, it deals with the similar kinds of issues. So, the age of consent and restitution of conjugal rights, these two are synonymous, and we will straight away hit B, that is 2 and 3 only. Then come to next one. Indigo cultivation in India declined by the beginning of 20th century because of peasant resistance to the oppressive conduct of planters. Yes, it might be the reason. Then its unprofitability in the world market because of new inventions. Yes, new inventions from the German synthetic dyes, etc. It reduced the profitability of the market for indigo. Yes, this is also an option. Then the national leaders' opposition to the cultivation of indigo. Yes, Champaran movement and others, they dealt with the issues of the indigo farmers. Then government control over the planters. So, Indigo Commission and others, they were also equivalent to government's control over the planters. Yes, friends, here almost all the options are equivalently vague and they are equivalently competent as well. So, here do not waste the fresh hours in dealing with this. So, even if you think and think again and again, ultimately you will put one or the other option, and later the correctness of the answer depends upon the perspective of UPSC examiner, and to which he gives the preference, that will become the answer. So, you hitting one and your roommate hitting another, then you coming to the room quarreling, then searching for the coaching institute's answer key. So, don't waste time. So, keep it for the last moment and hit the appropriate one. And friends, while hitting the appropriate one, choose the most detailed and precise one. So, here search for the vagueness and eliminate. So, government's control. So, what type of control is not given? So, you can eliminate it. And the national leaders' opposition. So, who are the leaders or what are the incidents are not given. And then peasants' resistance. So, friends, there were several peasant resistance, and which were successful, which were not, is not given. And then coming to B, its unprofitability in the world market because of new inventions. So, here the option itself gives the reason for unprofitability. So, this is in more detail. So, you can crudely take the guess of answer B. But however, friends, for the safer side, go through the UPSC official answer key when it will be released after the interview results, and check what is the priority of examiner in such questions, and trace the mind of the examiner in 2 to 3 such questions and follow the same trend in the exam hall, and there are chances of most of them going correct. So do it. Now come to next one. Wellesley established the Fort William College at Calcutta because he was asked by the board of directors at London to do so. He wanted to revive interest in the Oriental learning in India. He wanted to provide William Carey and his associates with employment. He wanted to train British civilians for administrative purposes in India. So this is a basic NCERT question, and here the NCERT provides that Wellesley therefore established the College of Fort William at Calcutta for the education of young recruits of the civil service. So we will not try to guess this and disrespect UPSC. Now come to next one. With reference to the history of India, Ulgulan or the Great Tumult is the description of which of the following events? So friends, here this was in news because of Birsa Munda, and Birsa Munda's statues and Birsa Munda's photo were set up in the parliament and the parliament premises. So in that context it becomes in news. So it is an easy question, and almost all the daily current affairs of several institutes, they bore this topic, and I don't think it will be difficult for you to hit the right answer. So these are the MCQs. Then come to next one, the national parks, wildlife sanctuaries and biosphere reserves. Friends, first one, the wildlife sanctuaries. They are the natural habitat owned by the government or private agencies. So they might be owned by either government or private agencies. Then restrictions are less and open to the visitations by the general public. So these wildlife sanctuaries can be visited by the general public. So wherever you have the safaris, those are all wildlife sanctuaries. Then International Union for Conservation of Nature has defined it as a category 4 type of protected areas. So you have to go to the IUCN website and look up what are the category 1 areas, 2 areas, 3 areas and 4 areas. So this one you have to do it as an assignment. Then come to next, Biosphere Reserve. It is a reserved area of land established by the government. So this has to be established by the government alone, not the private agencies. Then about the Biosphere Reserve. A typical Biosphere Reserve is divided into the following, that is the core area wherein no human activity is there. Then buffer, the limited human activity is permitted in the buffer zone. Then manipulation zone, several human activities can occur in this zone. So it consists of 3 areas, that is the strict area, then the medium area and the liberal area. Then it is internationally recognized within the framework of UNESCO's Man and Biosphere program and nominated by the national governments. So national governments, they have the sole responsibility to set up a biosphere reserve, and those are set up in compliance to the UNESCO's rules under the Man and Biosphere Reserve program. Then come to national park. Friends, these are notified areas that may cover multiple national parks, sanctuaries and reserves. So it might not be one single sanctuary, several sanctuaries can be clubbed to form a national park. Then highly restricted, random access to general public is not allowed. So these are highly restricted ones. Then IUCN, it has defined it as a category 2 type of protected areas. So this is a category 2 type, and these wildlife sanctuaries, these are category 4 types. And coming to more facts, friends, these wildlife sanctuaries, those are notified by the state governments in India, and national parks and biosphere reserves, those are notified by the national government only. And friends, these wildlife sanctuaries and national parks, these are notified under the Wildlife Protection Act alone. And moreover friends, there are other type of protected areas, that is the elephant reserves, tiger reserves, etc. And those are not notified under the Wildlife Protection Act, and those are notified under the National Tiger Conservation Authority rules or the National Elephant Conservation Authority rules, and those have a different criteria related to the population of elephants and tigers, and those are not related to this wildlife sanctuary and national parks. Even a national park can be a tiger reserve, and even a wildlife sanctuary can be an elephant reserve. And moreover, this wildlife sanctuary, it is being set up for the preservation of a species of wildlife or the plant life. But however, the national parks is set up to conserve a pristine ecosystem, not just a single wildlife species. So the difference is that here we are protecting the ecosystem, and here we are protecting a wildlife species. And lastly, the biosphere reserves. These are set up for a conducive interaction between the man and environment. So these are the philosophical and legal differences between wildlife sanctuaries, biosphere reserves and national parks. Now coming to some of the excerpts. Friends, as per the section 18 of the Wildlife Protection Act, the declaration of the wildlife sanctuary shall be done by the state government. So here we can see the state government may by notification declare an area as a wildlife sanctuary or as a sanctuary. Then the power of central government to declare sanctuaries or the national parks. So friends, even the national government or the central government, even that can declare a sanctuary as a wildlife sanctuary. But however, the power to declare a national park solely rests on the central government. So here in the section 38 clause 2, we can see the central government may by notification declare a national park. So these are the legal provisions provided in the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. So these things we will remember. Now come to the next topic, the Periyar Tiger Reserve. Friends, why was it in news? Because the Periyar Tiger Reserve recently reintroduced into wild an abandoned 9-month-old tiger cub named Mangala after rearing it in the captivity for 2 years. So that is why the Periyar Tiger Reserve becomes important. So friends, now gone are the days wherein the national parks in the concerned states are being asked as match the following in UPSC. So in depth, the national parks, wildlife sanctuaries and tiger reserves are being asked. So that is why we have to delve into the deeper. So now we will delve into the deeper regarding the Periyar Tiger Reserve. So it is a protected area located in the district of Idukki and Pathanamthitta in Kerala. So Idukki and Pathanamthitta, these two districts, they host this Periyar Tiger Reserve. Then it is notable as an elephant reserve and a tiger reserve. So this Periyar Tiger Reserve, it is both elephant as well as the tiger reserve. Then it was declared as a national park in 1982. So after declaring this wildlife sanctuary as an elephant reserve and then as a tiger reserve, totally it was declared as national park in 1982 by the central government. Then the park forms the major watersheds of two important rivers, that is the Periyar and the Panba river. So we will see in the map where are the Periyar and Panba rivers. Then the park is located high in the Cardamom Hills and Pandalam Hills of southwestern Ghats along the border of Tamil Nadu and Kerala. So it lies between Cardamom Hills and the Pandalam Hills. Then the sanctuary surrounds Periyar Lake, which was formed when the Mulla Periyar Dam was erected in 1895. So this is very nearer to the Mulla Periyar Dam. Then the park is made up of the tropical evergreen and moist deciduous forests and grasslands. So friends, almost all the Indian wildlife sanctuaries and national parks, they have the tropical evergreen or the tropical deciduous or might be even the temperate evergreen or temperate deciduous. So they are always a mixture. No single environment biome will be present in any of the national park or wildlife sanctuary. Then important mammals like Nilgiri Thar. Friends, Nilgiri Thar is a sheep-like animal. Then lion-tailed macaque, it is a monkey. Then Nilgiri Langur, it is a langur. Then Salim Ali's fruit bat, so it is a bat. So these are the important mammals, and here lion-tailed macaque, which is endangered, will be important. Now coming to the map of this Periyar Tiger Reserve, friends, here is the map. So the Periyar National Park falls here, and then we have the Kerala Tamil Nadu border here, and then we have the Panba Dam here and the Periyar Lake here. Or in other words, the Periyar River flows here and the Panba River flows somewhere here. So between Periyar and Panba River, this Periyar National Park lies. And friends, here we can see the Cardamom and Pandalam Hills. So along the borders of Tamil Nadu and Kerala, the Pandalam and the Cardamom Hills, they lie. So this is a basic geography of this Periyar Tiger Reserve. And friends, here lies the Sabarimala, the famous location of Kerala's pilgrimage. And friends, you might have often heard in news that the devotees of Sabarimala, while they are moving through these forests, they are being eaten up or they are being hurted by the tigers of this Periyar National Park. So in that context also, you can remember this. So this is the overall geography of the Periyar Tiger Reserve. Then come to next one, the Lemru Elephant Reserve. Friends, why was it in news? Because the state government of Chhattisgarh proposed to reduce the area of Lemru Elephant Reserve. So the area of Lemru Elephant Reserve is going to be reduced. So where is this Lemru Elephant Reserve? So friends, here we can see the Chhattisgarh in the map. So this is the Chhattisgarh map, and in the north of Chhattisgarh, the Lemru Elephant Reserve lies. So this will be very near to Jharkhand and also Madhya Pradesh. So here there is a one state corridor between Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand, which forms a single elephant corridor, and this Lemru Elephant Reserve is a part of that corridor. Now come to more details regarding the Lemru Elephant Reserve. The state government notified the reserve under the section 36A of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. So this is basically a wildlife sanctuary. Then elephant reserves are not recognized under the Wildlife Protection Act. Yes, we have discussed that these are recognized under the Conservation of Elephant Program and not under the Wildlife Protection Act. Then it is located in Korba district of the state. Then Lemru is one of the two elephant reserves planned to prevent human-animal conflict in the region, with elephants moving into Chhattisgarh from Odisha and Jharkhand. So friends, not only between Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand, even the elephants were moving from Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh and Odisha. So here we can see the Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh and Odisha borders where the elephants can roam around. So in order to stop the movement of elephants all around the states, this Lemru Elephant Reserve was thought to be created. Then it is a part of elephant corridor that connects Lemru of Korba, then Badalkol of Jeshpur and Tamor Pingla of Sarguja district. So all the three districts, that is Korba, Jeshpur and Sarguja, they fall under Chhattisgarh. Then Badalkol and Tamor Pingla is also a elephant reserve in the state. So we will see where are these Korba, Jeshpur and Sarguja are located. Yes friends, here we can see the Korba here, and somewhere here lies the Lemru Elephant Reserve. And then here we can see the Jeshpur, and in between Jeshpur and Korba we will get Sarguja. So this is the Korba and Tamor Pingla corridor. So here the Lemru Elephant Reserve will not only act as a complement for this Korba Tamor Pingla elephant corridor, but also prevents the movement of elephants between Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand and Odisha, and also the movement of elephants between Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand. So these are the aims and advantages of Lemru Elephant Reserve, but however, the state government is going to reduce the area. So that is a cause of concern for almost all the elephant lovers and environmental activists. So this is all about the Lemru Elephant Reserve. Then come to next. Ranthambore, Ramgarh, Vistari and Mukundra Tiger Reserves. Friends, why was it in news? Because with the approval of the union government for creation of the Ramgarh Vistari Sanctuary, the Rajasthan government is hoping to develop a tiger reserve connecting the three tiger reserves. So the three tiger reserves, that is the Ranthambore Tiger Reserve, then Ramgarh Vistari Tiger Reserve, that is going to be created anew, and Mukundra Tiger Reserve, all these are going to be connected. Now the key points. These three tiger reserves will pass through the Savai Madhopur, then Kota and Bundi districts of the state, and Ramgarh Vistari Sanctuary, which will link the Ranthambore Tiger Reserve in the northeast and Mukundra Hill Tiger Reserve on the south side. Then, the Ramgarh Vistari Sanctuary became the 4th tiger reserve of Rajasthan and 52nd in India. So, this new tiger reserve, it is the 4th in Rajasthan and 52nd in India. Then, this newly proposed tiger reserve in Bundi district will connect the Ranthambore Tiger Reserve in the Savai Madhopur district and Mukundra Hills Tiger Reserve in the Kota district. So, this Ranthambore is in Savai Madhopur district and Mukundra Hills, it is in the Kota district. So, the connection goes likewise. And then, all the three will form a tiger corridor. So, this Ranthambore, Ramgarh Vistari and Mukundra, they form a tiger corridor themselves. So, where this lie, what are the geography around, we will study here. So, friends, here in this figure, we can see the Ranthambore Tiger Reserve here, which is very nearer to the Savai Madhopur. And then, near Bundi, we can get the Ramgarh Vistari Tiger Reserve, which is going to be created. And friends, downwards, near Kota, we will have the Mukundra Hills, friends. So, these are the Mukundra Hills, and here lies the Mukundra Tiger Reserve. And the connection is between these three. So, the Ranthambore and then Ramgarh Vistari and then Mukundra Hills. So, these are going to be connected. So, here we study the geography also, friends. Here there is a boundary between Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. So, this is the boundary that goes likewise. And then here in both the sides of the border, we have tiger reserves. So, in Madhya Pradesh, we have Palpur Kuno Wildlife Sanctuary, and here we have Ranthambore Tiger Reserve. And then to the west of this Ranthambore Tiger Reserve, we have the Bilaspur Lake and the Bilaspur Dam here. And then to the south of Mukundra Hills and Mukundra Tiger Reserve, we have Rana Pratap Sagar and the Gandhi Sagar Lake. Friends, Rana Pratap Sagar and Gandhi Sagar, these are the famous lakes of the Chambal River, and the Chambal River flows here near Kota. And these Mukundra Hills, they also lie near the Chambal River. So, this is a brief geography of the area, the new tiger corridor that has to be set up. Now, more facts regarding the tiger corridors in India. Friends, the National Tiger Conservation Authority, in collaboration with the Wildlife Institute of India, has published a document titled Connecting Tiger Populations for Long-Term Conservation, and it has mapped 32 major corridors across the country and management interventions for which are operationalized through a tiger conservation plan, and it is mandated under the section 38V of the Wildlife Protection Act. So, this was set up under the Connecting Tiger Population for Long-Term Conservation Plan of the National Tiger Conservation Authority. Friends, we have discussed earlier that this National Tiger Conservation Authority, this is the authority which decides the tiger reserve or which demarks the tiger reserve, and that has come up with a plan, and that plan is as per the Wildlife Protection Act, and the Section 38V of the Wildlife Protection Act, which defines a wildlife sanctuary. So these are the legal provisions regarding the tiger reserve, and here we have a brief look at the Ranthambore Tiger Reserve and the geography nearby. So friends, in the last slide we have discussed, there goes the Rajasthan Madhya Pradesh border between Ranthambore and Palpur-Kuno Wildlife Sanctuary, and along this border the Parbati river flows. This Parbati river is a tributary of Chambal, and here we have the Ranthambore National Park. Hence the three things we have to remember is the border, and then the Parbati river, and then the Palpur-Kuno Wildlife Sanctuary near the Ranthambore National Park. So this is all about the tiger corridor. Then come to next one, the Kanika National Park. Friends, why was it in news? Because Odisha's Kanika National Park, which is the second largest mangrove forest, was ravaged by the cyclone Yas recently. So cyclone Yas, it has inundated the Kanika National Park. So hence it becomes important. Now, more about the Kanika National Park. Friends, Kanika National Park is a national park in the northeast Kendrapara district of Odisha in eastern India. Yes, we know that it is in the Kendrapara district. Then, it is the second Ramsar site of the state after the Chilika Lake. Yes, friends, in Odisha, the first Ramsar site is the Chilika Lake and second is the Kanika, and it is surrounded by the Kanika Wildlife Sanctuary. Yes, friends, this Kanika Wildlife Sanctuary is a broader area, and this Kanika National Park is a smaller area within the sanctuary. Then, the National Park and Wildlife Sanctuary is inundated by the rivers Brahmani, Baitarani, Dharma and Patsala. We will see in the map how they are inundated. Then, the Gahirmata beach, which forms the boundary of the sanctuary in the east, is the largest colony of olive ridley sea turtles. So, this Gahirmata also we will see in the map. Then, it hosts many mangrove species and is the second largest mangrove ecosystem in India. So, the Sundarbans is the first, and this is the second largest ecosystem for mangroves. Then, it is home to saltwater crocodile, that is Crocodylus porosus, and Indian python, king cobra, etc. are also present. So, we will take a brief look at the map of this Kanika. Yes, friends, this lies very nearer to the mouth of Ganga Brahmaputra, and then here is the Gahirmata Marine Wildlife Sanctuary, and here is the Chilika Lake, and somewhere around here lies the Kanika. So, we will see where does the Kanika lie and what are the geographical features. So, friends, here in this figure we can see the Abdul Kalam Island here. So, the Abdul Kalam Island where the satellites are launched we have discussed in the last classes, and then we have the Gahirmata Wildlife Sanctuary here, and this is the Gahirmata beach, we can say that. And then coming further southward and eastward we have Kanika National Park and Kanika Wildlife Sanctuary. So, this is the wildlife sanctuary and this is the national park, and then this area is inundated by several rivers, and here we can see Brahmani river and here we can see the Baitarani river. So, both the rivers they flow nearer to Kanika, and later they merge each other, and later they dump their waters into the Bay of Bengal. So, while merging they inundate the Kanika National Park and the wildlife sanctuary. And friends, this Dharma, Patsala, all these are other rivers that are flowing here, and they are very minute rivulets and they are not visible in this Google map. So, this is a brief geography of Kanika National Park and Gahirmata Wildlife Sanctuary. Then come to next one, the Taboba Andhari Tiger Reserve. Friends, why was it in news? Because Maharashtra Chief Minister, he directed officials to try and rehabilitate some of the villages on the periphery of the Taboba Andhari Tiger Reserve in order to increase the reserve's area to accommodate more tigers. So, friends, the tiger population in Taboba Andhari Tiger Reserves are increasing. That is why the area has to be increased. So, in that context, the villages are to be rehabilitated, and we study Taboba Andhari with the same context. Then, coming to more about the Taboba Andhari Tiger Reserve. Friends, the Taboba Andhari Tiger Reserve is a wildlife sanctuary in Chandrapur district of Maharashtra. So, it is also a wildlife sanctuary and it is also a tiger reserve. Then, it is Maharashtra's oldest and largest national park. So, it is not only wildlife sanctuary and a tiger reserve, it is also a national park. So, friends, don't confuse here. It was a wildlife sanctuary because it was notified by the state government for protection of wildlife here. And later, it was identified as a tiger reserve because of considerable tiger population. And later, it was demarcated as a national park for the conservation of ecosystem in this area. So, all the three are being present, and that is why it comes under the strict surveillance. Then, Taboba means the name of the god Taboba or Taru, and Andhari refers to the Andhari river. So, here Andhari river flows, and in the banks of that river, the Taboba Andhari Tiger Reserve lies. So, we will see in the geography where it lies. Then, Taboba Reserve covers the Chimur Hills, and Andhari Sanctuary covers the Moharali and Kholsa ranges. So these Chimur, Moharli and Kholsa ranges are not visible in the map, but however they are present near the Taboba Andhari Tiger Reserve. Then the Gond kings once ruled these forests in the vicinity of Chimur Hills. So the Gond kings, they lived in these Chimur Hills and the nearby areas. Then Andhari Wildlife Sanctuary was created in the adjacent forests in 1986. So on the basis of the presence of Gond kings, this area was identified and it was declared as a wildlife sanctuary in 1986. And friends, we know that now it is also being declared as a tiger reserve and a national park. Now, coming to the geography of this Taboba Andhari, friends, here lies the Taboba Andhari National Park and here lies a river called the Andhari River, and we will see in the next slide how the river flows. And then very near to it, it has a Sundargarh range, that is a mountain range, and then we have a Gadchiroli Forest Reserve. Friends, we know that Gadchiroli is a famous Maoist hotspot that we will revise here itself. Then very next to it, that is to the southeast of it, we have Indravati National Park. And then to the southeast of Indravati National Park, we have the Kangar Ghati National Park. So we will revise all the three, that is the Taboba Andhari National Park, and then the Indravati, and then the Kangar Ghati. So here we have two state boundaries that are passing. So comment in the comment box what are those state boundaries that are passing here and in which states are these national parks situated. So this is a brief geography of Taboba Andhari and the nearby area. Then come to more facts regarding the Taboba Andhari. In 1995, the park and sanctuary were merged to establish the present tiger reserve. So friends, in 1995, the Taboba Andhari National Park and the Taboba Andhari Wildlife Sanctuary were merged to form a tiger reserve. So the wildlife sanctuary was established first, and then the national park was established, and then the tiger reserve was established. And then Taboba Lake, which acts as a buffer between the park's forest and the extensive farmland which extends up to the Irai water reservoir. Friends, here we have the Taboba Andhari National Park, and here we have the Taboba Lake, and this lake acts as a buffer between Taboba Andhari National Park and the farmland, and this farmland, they will extend up to the Irai water reservoir. So Irai water reservoir lies on the river Irai, which is a tributary of Varda, and friends, we know that Varda is a tributary of Wainganga and Wainganga is a tributary of Godavari. So this is a brief geography of Taboba Andhari. I repeat, here we have Taboba Andhari National Park, here we have a Taboba Lake, and then we have a farmland, and then we have a Irai reservoir. So this is brief geography. Then coming to more facts, the lake is a habitat for mugger crocodiles to thrive. So this Taboba Lake is a habitat for mugger crocodiles. So this also we will remember. Then Taboba Reserve has a southern tropical deciduous forest with dense woodlands comprising about 87% of protected areas. So majority of this protected area, it consists of tropical dry deciduous forests. They are dry and deciduous, but they are tropical in nature, or in other words, they are dry, they shed their leaves, and there is no proper season in which each tree will shed their leaves. And also there is thick undergrowth, just like the tropical forests. But however, even the thick undergrowth is also very dry. They are not so lushy green. So this is all about the vegetation of the Taboba Andhari Tiger Reserve. Then bamboo thickets grow throughout the reserve in abundance. Yes friends, bamboo is also an important part of vegetation there. Then Taboba Andhari Tiger Reserve is home to Indian leopards, sloth bears, gaur, nilgai, that is the blue bull, then dhole, the Asiatic dogs, then striped hyena, then small Indian civet, that is the cat, then jungle cats, then sambar, the buffalo, then barking deer, then cheetal, then chausinga and honey badger. So these are some of the fauna that are present under the Taboba Andhari Tiger Reserve, and this is a brief account on the same. Now come to next one, the Parameculum Tiger Reserve. Friends, it is adjacent to Annamalai Wildlife Sanctuary to the east in Tamil Nadu. Then the Parameculum Tiger Reserve is a protected area in Kerala's Palakkad district. So it is present in the Palakkad district of Kerala. And then it is located between Annamalai Hills and Neliyampati forests in Sangam range of hills. So it is between Annamalai Hills and Sangam range of hills, or in other words, it is between Annamalai forests and Neliyampati forests. So this Neliyampati, it lies in the Sangam hills. So that inference we can draw here. Then the Kadar, Malasar, Muduvar, then Mala Malasar are the four indigenous tribes of the sanctuary. So Kadar, Malasar, Muduvar and Mala Malasar. So these are the tribes, they are living in this Parameculum Tiger Reserve. Then the reserve is known for having the world's first scientifically operated teak plantation, which was later combined with the forest land. So this first scientifically experimented teak plantation happened in this tiger reserve, and this is a fact worth remembering. Then it is home to the largest and oldest teak tree in the world, known as Kannimara. So this Kannimara is the largest and the oldest teak tree which is present in Parameculum Tiger Reserve. Then it won the Mahavriksha Puraskar given by Indian government. So this Mahavriksha Puraskar is provided for the fact that these forests, they host Kannimara trees. So Kannimara tree has fetched the Mahavriksha Puraskar prize for the Parameculum Tiger Reserve. So this Haplothismia exonulata is a rare species present in these forests, and it is a mycotropic plant. Friends, mycotropic means it is having a symbiotic relation with the fungi. So here in this figure, we can see this Haplothismia exonulata, and it is having a symbiotic relation with the fungi. So this is Haplothismia exonulata. Then coming to the brief geography of Parameculum Tiger Reserve. So friends, here we can see the Parameculum Tiger Reserve, which is very nearer to the Annamalai Tiger Reserve. And then on the other side, we have Nilempati Forest, or in other words, here lies the Annamalai range and here lies the Sangam range. And in between this Sangam range of hills and Annamalai range of hills, the Parameculum lies. And this Parameculum lies on the border of Kerala and Tamil Nadu. So here we can see the border that is going on. And friends, we can also see the Panba Dam here, which is very nearer to Parameculum. So this Annamalai Tiger Reserve and the Annamalai Hills, and then Neliampati Forest and the Sangam Hills, and then Alia Reserve Forest very nearer to it, and then this Panban Dam and the Parameculum Tiger Reserve. So these are the geographical areas that are worth remembering. So this is all about the Parameculum Tiger Reserve. Then coming to next, the Orang National Park. Friends, Orang National Park is situated in the Darang and Sonitpur district and is located in the north bank of Brahmaputra River in the state of Assam. So it is located in the north of Brahmaputra River and it is in Assam in the Darang and Sonitpur district. Then it is also known as Rajiv Gandhi National Park and Mini Kaziranga National Park. So this has three names, that is the Orang National Park, then the Rajiv Gandhi National Park and Mini Kaziranga National Park. Then the park is bordered by the Pachnoi River, then Belsri River, Dansiri River, which all flow into Brahmaputra rivers. So this Pachnoi, Belsri and Dansiri are not visible in the map. We can see only Brahmaputra. Then Orang was designated as a game reserve in 1915. So friends, the game reserve is a reserve in which a controlled hunting or the game of hunting is allowed. So this was a game reserve, and then the hunting was banned and the government took over the area. Then to meet the Project Tiger's criteria, the game reserve was turned over to the State Forest Department's Wildlife Division. So it was converted and the State Department, it took over the control of the land, and now it is a tiger reserve and a national park as well. Then in 1999, it was designated as a national park. Yes, now it is a national park. Then the Orang tribe who abandoned this country lived here. So friends, Orang tribe, they lived in these areas, but however, now they have migrated to Sumatra and Malayan regions. So Orang tribes, they also bring the name for the reserve, that is the Orang National Park. Now coming to the brief geography of Orang National Park. Yes friends, here is the Brahmaputra River that is flowing down, and here we have the Kaziranga National Park, and then we have Laukova Wildlife Sanctuary very nearby, and then we have the Orang National Park. But however, in the northern part, there is Jomot Sonka Wildlife Sanctuary here, and then we have Sonai Ropai Wildlife Sanctuary, and the Kameng River also flows here, and then we have Nameri National Park here as well. So these are the various national parks, and friends, various rivers they flow here. These might be the Kameng, the Dansiri, then the Balsri and Manas and many other rivers. So this is a brief geography of this Orang and Kaziranga national parks. Then come to the last part. Friends, there are two kinds of motivation. One is the positive motivation and the second is the negative motivation. So this positive motivation is that whenever you clear civil service exam, you feel that you have achieved your life dream. You have achieved that zenith of success which you are waiting to be achieved since childhood. So you will be the top of the world at that moment of time. But however, if you don't clear, then take the negative motivation. So whenever you want to become a king, why struggle to become a secretary? Whenever you have the capacity to become a leader, why waste time in being a labor? And when the whole country and when the whole world is yours, why fixate your brain for one desk job? So these are the two kinds of motivation. So use it appropriately at the right time. Do it. All the very best. Good luck, friends.